Mm-hmm.
Isn't that they're prompting you to come on?
That's okay. That's a minute. Yeah, it's taken. Okay. Yeah. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this little warm-up workout today. Now, my name is Joanne James. I'm with my MedFit Rehab, and I'm a medical exercise specialist and a bone health educator. So today we're going to talk a little bit about warm-up because that seems to be the activity people do the least. And one of the key things I'd like you to do is to keep in mind that whatever health issues that you have right now, make sure that whatever you're doing is appropriate for movement. So there's certain movements that I may do. If you know that it's not comfortable for you to do, then don't do it. Usually I recommend that people speak to their medical health professional first before taking part in any activity. I'm going to be doing a warm-up in a few minutes. It's low, it's a low intensity, but it's a great way for you to learn how to do appropriate exercises that are for your warm-up.
Let's rock it.
Alrighty, so keep in mind when you're doing a warm-up, you do it for a very specific reason. One, you do it to warm up the muscles. You're doing it to increase blood flow to the muscles so that when you're exercising, you're going to get a better exercise response, okay? Number two, you're doing the warm-up to warm up the joints. We have what's called synovial fluid in the joints, and that synovial fluid helps to lubricate the joints so that as you're moving, movements are much more smoother and easier, less discomfort. Thirdly, you want to get your heart rate up a little bit because you're preparing it for a more intense workout that's going to be to follow. Now, when you get your heart rate up, it gets your blood flow moving quicker, heats up the body as well, and that means that your muscles are getting warm blood, oxygenated blood, so that it can perform better as well, okay? And lastly, you want to get your mind prepared for activity as well. You want to focus on what you're doing. When you've had a long, busy, hard day, you've had stress, etc., you just want to kind of focus in on what you're going to do and forget everything else that's around you. Other than if you're outdoors, just be aware that your environment is safe and that you're not going to walk into a truck or walk into a car or walk into the intersection. Okay, so when you're moving with a warm-up, there's two things that are going to happen. One, The warm-up is going to be locomotor, meaning you're going to do a variety of movements that are smooth, low intensity, controlled, so that you get your heart rate going. And secondly, when you're doing your warm-up, you also want to do a nice general light stretch, not a stretch for flexibility. That's not the purpose of the warm-up. All right, so the purpose of the warm-up is just to get the body warmed up, but not to increase your flexibility when you get to the stretch portion of the workout.
Cheer up and just put it on.
I'm just hooking up here. Here I am. Commercial.
Definite state of flux. It can be hard to get up, get going, and plow through your to-do list every day. As a parent, I know it can even be more challenging to get your kids on board. Wendy Grallman, a psychology professor at Clark University, says, when children participate in creating guidelines and schedules, they are then more likely to believe the guidelines, accept them, and follow them. So ask your kids for input on your house rules. Allow them some choice, but within reason, like do they want to do their chores before or after watching the television show, and make sure they know why it's important that they do the things that you're asking them. I always remind my kids, we're all in this together. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Okay, Joanne, are you there now?
I'm here.
Good. Okay, so tell us what you're doing, talk to our audience, and we're going to listen.
All right. So we're talking about warming up appropriately today. The reason why is I notice when I see people warming up, sometimes they're using or doing the wrong exercises. They stretch and they assume that that's a warm-up. So one of the things I just wanted to do is alert people on how to warm up appropriately. Now, if you have a health issue or a concern, i.e., I heard the term scoliosis, you might have cancer, you might have a severe low back issue, diabetes, hypertension, or you have a muscular issue, then one, you need to be aware that you have this issue, and number two, you have to exercise appropriately for those different health issues. So, for instance, if you had osteoporosis and I said to twist your spine, or you're looking at a warm-up and it's not specific for someone with osteoporosis, you need to know that you shouldn't be twisting your spine like that. And that can be found in a warm-up. So what I ask everybody to do is, first of all, if you've not been doing anything for a long time, you've not exercised, you've never exercised, I suggest just listen and watch the movements. If you're somebody that's been active on a regular basis and you're thinking, oh, let me just see what this is all about, and you feel comfortable, you don't have any severe or serious health issues, then certainly feel free to participate. But again, monitor yourself and make sure that it's appropriate for you to do these movements. Any movement can create a problem for you. Any movement can cause an injury, but also most movements are beneficial to help you and your body develop and become stronger, etc. So let's look at the warm-up. The warm-up means you're trying to get your body temperature up a little bit, and what you're trying to do is warm up, say for instance the heart. Get the heart rate going a little bit more so it delivers oxygenated blood, heated blood to the working muscles. And so when you get your heart rate up there, you're preparing it for a more intense workout after. Secondly, once you get that heart rate up and it's moving the blood through the body much more faster, what's nice is it's sending warm oxygenated blood to the working muscles, or the muscles that are going to be working in a few minutes at a more higher intensity. So it's important to get your blood flow up and heat up the blood through movement so that the muscles get the benefit of that. The next thing is your joints. Your joints are important to warm up. We're fortunate to have a fluid called synovial fluid that actually lubricates the joints so that it allows the bones to move across each other much more efficiently, much more smoothly, and so it's important to warm up so that the joints get a warm up. And I think lastly, but not always the least, is the mind. It's time to focus in on your workout. Get away from all of the stuff that's happening around you, and focus on each of the movements that you're doing so that you do the movements correctly and safely. If you're kind of daydreaming and just thinking of other things, you're not in your body and you're not aware of what it's doing. So a warm-up actually prepares the mind for the workout that's coming up, and that's important to do as well. Now, what some people don't understand is there's two parts to a warm-up. There's the locomotor portion, maybe what you call dynamic portion of the warm-up. It's low intensity, it's constant, at least for 5 to 7 minutes. And what it does is it just gets your heart rate going. If you're doing something static, that is not going to get your heart rate going. So those kinds of movements can be walking on the spot, toe tapping to the side. I'm going to be demonstrating some very nice basic movements that you can do by putting on your favorite music and just doing some of these movements. You're actually warming up the body, so that's a great thing. The second part of your warm-up is going to be the light stretching portion. And the light stretching portion, I say light stretching because this is not the time that you're trying to increase your flexibility, because your muscles are not warm enough and prepared for that. When you are looking to increase your flexibility, that's more at the end of your workout. But you should always have a warm-up no matter what, whether you're stretching for flexibility or whether you're stretching for the workout coming up. You should always be doing a locomotor activity first to get everything warmed up and then move into the stretch. So your light stretching might be held anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. If you're stretching for flexibility, you're looking for at least 20 seconds plus. Some books recommend a minute, other books say 30 seconds. Not a lot of research has been done on how long one should stretch to know whether it's actually increasing your flexibility, but that is for the end of the workout. It's for after you've done a great workout, whether you've done a jog or you've done an aerobics class, any kind of class that's very active. The best time to do your stretch is at the end of that warm-up or end of that workout. But for the warm-up, you're only basically holding the muscles for anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. And that is just to lengthen the muscle back to its normal length. When you sit in a desk all day, you're under a lot of stress. There's a tendency to hunch your shoulders, tighten up your muscles. And as a result, from going to a stressful day into a big intense workout, that's where you can increase your risk for injury, strain your muscle, pull a muscle. So it's always best to do a very gentle, light stretch, get the muscle back to normal, and then proceed on to your workout. And that's sort of the long and short of just your basic information about the warm-up. So what I'd like to do is invite those who are really comfortable with moving because you exercise regularly, and you might be somebody who walks every day. I say that it would probably work for you. If you've not been doing any kind of workout whatsoever, if you've got some sort of injury or a health issue, I would recommend just sitting, watching, observing. Give us a call. We can talk about your situation, because not all exercises are created equal and they're not created for all people's bodies. So as I gave an example earlier, if you have osteoporosis, I'm not going to have that twisting action in the warm-up, because I know that that's not appropriate for somebody with osteoporosis. I can change the arm movement and I can change the swing. So I'm going to kind of talk about some options within the warm-up for some people, just so that they get an idea that you can do it lightly or a little bit intensely, but either way, always do a warm-up before you get involved in some sort of exercise activity that's going to be fairly intense.
See,
Okay?
I don't do a warm-up as much as I should. I do the exercise, and you're saying it's really important to do a warm-up.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Better safe than sorry is what I say. Better safe than sorry. So what I'd like to do is now perform a little bit of a warm up for about anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes. And I'm just going to talk through it and show people very basic exercises that pretty much almost anyone can do unless they have a joint or muscle issue that prevents them from doing that. Or if you've just had surgery and you're recovering from some serious health issue, I just sit and watch and then give us a call, because there's two sides of what we do. We do the preventative side of exercise, and we also do the post-rehabilitative side of exercise, but both of them require that you speak to someone, I think, to make sure that you're doing the right activity for you.
Okay, well, I think that you are definitely helping people to such a degree to be able to, focus and function, especially during this stressful time
Absolutely.
that many of us are at home.
Absolutely, I agree.
Okay, so we're going to, do we have, not yet? Okay, we're going to, how are we going to work this? We're going to take a short break for Dr. Betty and for Sunny when we get a chance, and then we're going to continue on with you. But we still have the time, so give us as much information as you can give us now, and then we'll take that break and then we'll come back.
And how much time do I have, Zelda,
Well,
so I
right
know
now
how
we
much?
haven't been able to get a hold of Sunny's, so we'll wait. We'll give you about 3 minutes now, and then we'll come back after. Okay? So I'll tell you when we have to break, so you continue on.
Okay, so what I'm going to just do is just describe some of the movements that we do as part of a warm-up, and you'll see them in aerobic style classes, you'll see them in any kind of style, but it's general movements. Movement is movement. It doesn't matter whether it's yoga, Pilates, whether it's Tai Chi, or whether it's a CrossFit class or just a regular aerobics class. Everything is movements, and a lot of the exercises actually cross over. So one of the things I recommend people do is always just start with a walking action. And that means that you're walking, keeping it nice and easy. Things like toe tapping out to the side. So really what I'm focusing in on is my heart, getting it up, but I'm also focusing in on and warming up the hip joint area. So by marching on the spot, I'm doing hip joint and knee joint, bit of ankle. By toe tapping out to the side, now I start to extend the legs out. I start to work on the hip area. I might also extend the leg back as well. That starts to warm up hamstring, but also starts to warm up the gluteal muscles, your hip muscles as well. Other movements, you can lift the knee up. The degree that you lift the knee up will determine generally your fitness level. Some people like to do a nice high knee, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you do have knee issues, maybe you'll do a little toe tap in front in order to accommodate what your issues are, right? So from here, this is your basic. Then you can do a little bit of a knee lift. Now, for some of you, if your balance isn't very good, then you might want to use a chair as support when you're doing your warm-up. So whether you're walking, because if your balance is extremely poor, you want to make sure that you have support. You can do same things, or you can face that chair, and you can do toe taps out to the side, right? Same thing with toe tapping forward and lifting your knees up. So if you need some form of support, please use a chair, or you can use the wall as a form.
We're going to take our short break, but we'll come back with you in probably 7 minutes or so, and then we'll continue on.
Fantastic,
Okay?
great.
All right, so you keep going, Joanne James, MedFit Rehabilitation, and we'll be back.
I'm trying to remember. So what I'm going to do is go through a warm-up. Okay, everybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to take you through a little bit of a warm-up so you can see what it can look like, and also we're going to do it to music as well. And then when Zelda cuts back in, we'll just kind of continue from there, okay? I'll just hold on to this. All right. All right, so remember I said you can choose your favorite piece of music, and that's what I strongly recommend. It's hard to do exercise just with silence unless that's the kind of person that you are. So I'm going to say you start by walking on the spot. So for those who like it a little higher intensity, up, you can lift the knee up, and then walk again. You can take a certain number of steps that you want to do. 3, 2, then knees up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then walk again. Keep it nice and rhythmic. 4, 3, 2, good. Knees up. 8, 7, 6, 5, or you can keep that knee low. Now we're going to tap out to the side. We're just going to tap. Now the further away you tap, the more work you're doing. So you can keep it small, or you can just step up if you're warming up the hips. Now if you need the chair for support, good. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Now let's tap behind. Let's tap behind. Tap. So all of this is lower body, but I'm going to add the arm. So I'm going to move the arm forward. Now if some of you find this a little quick, what we can do is slow it down and then just move the arm back and forth. Because you have to get those joints moved up, warmed up. Shoulders and elbows. Excellent. Nice job. And you can use the feet. Good. March it out. Nice job. Now we're going to do a little step touch. Step touch. Good. Again, all I'm trying to do is just keep moving. Add the arms. Reach and pull. And or you don't have to go to the music. You can just slow it down. Step touch. Good. 4 more. 4. Now let's do a little bit of a heel jack. Scooping under. Excellent. Nice and arms scooping under. Good. Again, warming up the shoulder area. From here, 4, 3. Let's march on the spot again. March. Make sure the arms are going back and forth. This isn't a warm-up for the upper body. Make sure the arms are going back and forth. Excellent. Now, a little bit of shoulder rolls. Shoulders. Nice and easy. Roll the shoulders back. Good. Now let's roll the shoulders forward. So we're warming up the top of the shoulder joint area. Good. 4 more. 2 more. Last one. Good. Now, so from here, down and up. So let's get into the thighs just a little bit. Or you can stay on the spot and do mini squats. Mini squats. Okay? Excellent. So that warms up the hips and the thighs. You can feel a little bit of that pumping action. Excellent. So from here, again, side to side. Now, punch forward. Now, if you have, a bone compromised situation like osteoporosis, you reach forward. Excellent. I think we're going to be back on air in a moment. 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. Excellent. So we're going to be on air in a few seconds. Actually, I was taking the group through a locomotor warm-up, just showing basic movements that you just keep doing for the next 5 to 7 minutes to get oxygen into the blood, muscles warmed up, joints prepared, and the mind ready. Yes, so we've been doing some movement. We were just going to move into the stretch part of a warm-up, which we can do right now. Now, are you able to see this, Zelda? Oh, that's too bad. Excellent. All right. Well, just go to MedFit Rehab, and I believe the link is on MedFit Rehab. Yeah, medfitrehab.com. All right. Oh, I think there's some link in there that you can push. Check it out. There is a particular link, but you know what? Just listen through it, Zelda, at this moment, anyhow. What I'd like to do is just, let people know that after you've done a light locomotor movement, then stretching is the next thing that you should do. So what we're going to do is start with a quad stretch. For some people, make sure that you're holding on to a chair or holding on to the wall. And when you're doing this position, do not lock your knees back. Always keep your knees slightly bent. And you're trying to stretch this quadricep muscle, right? Because it's a big, powerful muscle in your body. So let's do the other side. For those who can and have fairly decent balance, you can do this without holding on to something, okay? So if you want to practice balance, make sure that you're beside the wall. And down. Good. Now, let's look at the hamstring. 2 ways you can do your hamstring. You can do what's called a modified downward dog using your chair. This gets both the backs of your legs, for sure. So that's one way of doing it. Your back is flat. So if you have osteoporosis, this is a great way to stretch. But you know what? This stretch is pretty good for everyone, unless you have issues like frozen shoulders and shoulder issues. That means this movement may not be so good for you. So then, of course, you have to work within your range. Another way to do your hamstring is like this. Again, very basic movements I'm trying to show you. Anybody can do these unless they have a specific muscle or joint issue, and then it's not possible for them to do that. Another way that they can potentially do that, if they do have a joint issue, or if they can't do it in a standing position, is one leg is out, sitting close to the edge of the chair, and reach forward. You'll see some people reach down, and that's okay if you don't have a spine issue like osteoporosis, but if you do have osteoporosis, you have to reach forward. So that's a nice basic stretch for your hamstrings for those who need that, okay? To stretch the sides, highly recommended, just reach up. That's all you have to do is just reach up to warm up and stretch the side. If you don't have osteoporosis and or a bone issue or a spinal issue, you can do a slight bend over to the side, and that gives you a nice stretch as well. But this is no different than lifting up like that, so this is what I strongly recommend that people do. Also, you want to stretch your hip flexor. You see people do this a lot, but they don't know why they actually do this. They do this to stretch the hip flexor and the calf muscle. So add your upper back muscles by extending the arm out, and you get the hip and you get the calf muscle. When you're doing a lot of walking and running, this is a number one exercise warm-up that everyone should be doing. Then you're going to switch legs, and the last thing you're going to do is put your hands behind your back, squeeze your shoulder blades, and do the other side. That is very important. You stretch the chest. Yes.
Yeah, okay, we're almost at the end of the program.
Yes.
But people can continue on your website and watch you and listen to you. 647-348-9150. Call that number and you'll get all the instructions.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're not on tomorrow. We have a Jewish holiday. We'll be back again
Ah.
on Sunday with Angela and your next
Great.
Just keep up the incredible work that you're doing,
Excellent.
Joanne.
And have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.